The Alpha Sessions.
Hello and welcome to the Alpha Sessions with me, Emily, guest host, and the wonderful Sansha. Welcome, Sansha.
Thanks.
Francesca or Cheska or Sansha.
Yeah.
Or Santa.
Or Santa, yeah.
Santa isn't an official name, but
No.
I read that. I think it was on your Spotify
Yeah.
bio.
Yeah.
Because I've done my research. And you said that you don't mind being called Santa.
No.
That's quite funny that people have called you Santa.
Santa minds, though. Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Stealing his brand.
So, how are you doing, firstly?
I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So it said in your bio, because I kind of wanted to get like a general genre of what you do, and
Yeah.
you said I make electronic pop music in my bedroom.
Yes.
Is that still the case?
Yes.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Thanks.
And I also read that you said that your parents were a drama teacher and a music teacher.
Yeah.
And so growing up or childhood was like one long episode of Glee. These are my quotes for you. Yeah. See, that's really funny because I also grew up with, well, not a drama teacher, but musician
Violin
parents.
dad.
Yes, exactly. And it does mean, do you think that that's kind of why you've got into this
Yeah, there was no
world?
choice. Absolutely no choice at all.
Was it always music?
Yeah, it was always music. I can remember one of the biggest arguments that me and my mum ever had was when I told her when I was like 15 I didn't like classical music.
Oh, really?
And she like slammed the door in my face and didn't talk to me for like hours. She was like, "How could you say that?"
Did you grow up? Oh yeah, you did. You play the violin.
Yeah.
So you grew up
Yeah.
playing classical music.
Yeah, grew up playing. Just thought I'd give it a go.
Sancha just lowered her chair there, listening people who can't see. Oh wow, so she was really angry about that.
Yeah, she was really. Just...
So I'm assuming she's the music.
Yeah, she's
one.
a music teacher. So, yeah, and she taught me. I think she tried to teach me piano actually, but I laughed at her too much, so we had to stop doing lessons because I kept laughing at her, laughing at her mannerisms.
My mum is a singing teacher.
Oh yeah.
And we've tried, I'd say, maximum like 5 times for her to teach me. And it lasts like 20 minutes, half an hour, but I don't laugh at her, like I just get annoyed with her.
Yeah, that's
I don't
so
think I
annoying.
like being told what to do by my mum in that. Sorry, mum, if you do listen to this.
Sorry, mums.
Yeah, sorry, mums. In that context, it's just a bit, I don't know, I think it's just tricky. It's the same with like driving.
Oh God, yeah.
Did either of your parents teach you to drive?
My dad took me out like 1.5 times, and we
1.5.
It's not many.
What happened the second time the 0.5?
Yeah, we gave up on a slope, but we got so annoyed at each other.
Yeah.
We were like, we can't do this. We're gonna end up killing each other.
Mm-hmm.
She gets so angry. Also, we were like we were in my mum's car, which the clutch was annoying, so it was just like impossible. But yeah, driving.
I don't know how we've already got off topic, but yeah, no, it's not easy doing that stuff with parents, I think.
No.
Yeah. No more. So, okay.
It's good that we're adults, isn't it?
Yep. Sort of. So, let's start by talking about your EP last year.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about it, because I've already told you this before, but I absolutely loved the single Dream Dancer.
Thanks.
Which is from that EP.
Yeah.
I'm right. Yeah.
It is.
And also the music video. So good.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
But yeah, so you released an EP, Big Time, 2022. Mm-hmm. How did that go? General question.
How did it go? I had an EP listening party on the night it came out, which was really fun.
That's cool.
And I made a cake that said Big Time on it, and got really drunk. So that's how it went.
Okay.
What happened? I can't think what happened after that. I think it got played on the radio and stuff. It was like a year ago, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, that song, Dream Dancer, has had gazillions. I mean, I don't know numbers, but it's had loads of listens.
Yeah, it's had
done really well.
200,000 now.
That's very good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's
I'm
really
quite pleased
good.
about that. Yeah,
You should
that's
be
nice.
proud.
No, I am pleased about that.
Yeah,
That's good.
but moving on. We don't need to talk about 2022. Let's talk about 2023.
2020 poo.
So you release a single. Is this right? I didn't realise you were listening. It's quite recent, right? Yeah. So you've released that in 2023.
Yeah.
And now you're releasing another one, which you've just announced.
Yeah.
Which is actually going backwards, the final song you played today.
Yes.
Which is Drink Water, Eat Biscuits, Keep Smiling.
That's it.
The acoustic version.
Yeah.
So when is that coming out?
On May the 6th.
Do you want to talk about a bit behind like what that song is about? It's a great title.
Thanks. So in September 2021.
Yes.
It's a year and a half ago. No, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Which one is it? 2 years ago.
Oh my god. I think basically a year and a half.
A year and a half. Thank you.
I think me and Cheska, Santa are in similar headspaces today, where we're both a little bit delirious. But I hope that you're listening and enjoying anyway.
I think we're egging each other off.
So a year and a half.
Just need to not look in your eyes.
Just talk to me like this.
Like this.
So you were talking about
right. So a year and a half ago, in September 2021, all in 1 month, my sister got married, my brother had a baby, and I broke up with my long-term boyfriend and had to move back in with my parents for a little bit, and I was like a massive mess because also the guy that I'd broken up with was in my friendship group, and there was like a particular night out which was kind of bad where I thought all my friends hated me, and it was just awkward, and I came home, and the next day I had this therapy session with my therapist, who's really fit. Fancy him. And
it's not ideal.
it's actually fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes fine because we have intercourse. No, I'm joking. We don't.
That would be really. I mean, yeah, that would be, I think, bad.
Oh, that would be bad. Yeah. No, that doesn't happen. That was a joke. Just don't want to incriminate him. But anyway. So I had this therapy session, and I was just like, not in a good way. And then my therapist was like, when you feel like this, you need to remember to dress yourself and drink water. And I was like, bloody hell, David, what is this, BBC News? And then the same day, I was like past my dad in the corridor, and him like going back to me being in like an infant, just was like, did this thing where he pretended I dropped my smile on the floor and was like, you've dropped your smile on the floor. And I was like, this is really interesting. Like, everyone's giving me really different advice.
Is that different advice?
Yeah, I think that's really different because I felt like the advice that David was giving me, my therapist, was like really adult and serious. And then I felt like what my dad was saying was quite lighthearted and quite childlike.
But I feel like
quite contrasting.
They're actually quite similar. The way I heard it was that they're quite similar because they're just like simple things. Like when everything is big.
You're right.
And complicated.
That's true.
Focus on little simple things.
That's
like
so true.
Drinking water, having a little smile.
That's so true, actually.
Whoa.
That's a good way of thinking about it as well. It's like these little like snippets of what people were saying was like what I held on to.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so that's why I was like, sort of decided to have a little bit of a mantra going on. And then I was like, drink water, eat biscuits, keep smiling. And I said that in my head all the time. And then, like, I had this weekend, the weekend after that, where I had some beers on Telegraph Hill Park with my friends Fran and Max. And then it was after that, I was like, okay, things are going to be okay. That's why I say it's amazing what a good weekend did. So it's about me coming back to life.
And another simple little thing.
Yeah.
Just like having some beers with your friends.
Yeah.
Telegraph Hill, nice view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just being with some good people. But it's also, there's like a lot of context to this song, but the first verse is a letter that I wrote to myself. I really recommend doing this if you write yourself a love letter. It's really cathartic.
Elizabeth Gilbert talks about doing that. Have you ever heard of Elizabeth Gilbert?
No.
She's a writer in America, but she's very wise.
Oh.
So you're very wise, just like Elizabeth Gilbert.
I'll take that. Yeah, it's really useful. So I wrote myself a letter. So the first verse is a letter to myself, and it sounds like I'm telling someone that I'm in love with them, which maybe I also was simultaneously. But I'm writing a letter to myself.
It's all been happening in my life lately. My sister got married, my bro had a baby. I moved out my flat, then in with my boyfriend, then fell in love with another boy at the weekend. I don't know where my head is at. I think I wanna move up my one bed flat. Everyone's falling in love and it's shit, 'cause I feel like I'm falling out of it. I love you and nobody knows. I can feel it right from my head to my toes. This is all I know that is true. This is a letter to myself and not you. You got me through big time and big time again. Told me to leave when you could see the end. Got me to stand when I fell on the floor. Told me it was okay when I felt it no more. And last week I didn't wanna live. It's amazing what a good weekend did. You gotta drink water and eat biscuits. Keep smiling. You dropped your smile on the floor there, darling. Gotta hold your head up, even though it's tiny. Don't panic. Have a deep breath and a pepperoni. My therapist is really fit. Sometimes I find it quite distracting. He always asks me why I don't look him in the eye, and then I tell a really good lie. I'm avoidant. My 20s have been crazy so far. So much change and I don't even drive a car. I wonder if I'll ever wanna settle down, but I feel stifled just wearing a dressing gown. Last year I was a different girl, and now I'm ready to fuck the world. You gotta drink water and eat biscuits. Keep smiling. You dropped a smile on the floor there, darling. Gotta hold your head up, even though it's tiny. If you panic, have a deep breath and a pepperoni. It's all been happening in my life lately. My sister got married, my bro had that baby. We all had so much fun at the wedding. Then I cried into my overnight bedding. I think I'm gonna be okay in the end, as long as I've got my family and friends. Everyone's falling in love, and it helps that I've fallen in love with myself.
The Alpha Sessions.
Do you have other stuff coming out this year?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. So that other one I played, CGNS, that's coming out this year as well.
Okay. CGNS.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what that means, please?
Can't get no sleep.
Okay. Yeah. So that's coming out.
That's coming out in well, it's getting mixed, so that'll come out in late June.
So you
Hopefully.
basically you record all this stuff yourself.
Yeah.
And then you get someone else to mix it.
Yeah, so what I do is I mix it as much as I can to where my skills lie, and then I send it off to this guy called Darren, and he finishes it and masters it.
Very nice.
Yeah. It's like pass the parcel.
What's that? Do you want to should we just go straight onto this song?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that song
Why not?
about?
That
Talk about
song I made at 4 a.m. when I couldn't sleep. And that was when it was the beginning of a year. It was the beginning of 2021, and I was in a funk. And I wrote it to sort of get myself out of it and to get back to normal. And I couldn't stop thinking about an incident that had happened the year before, and it was going round and round in my head. And the person who I did the incident with was it literally talking in my head. So that's why I say I can always hear your voice in my head. And that song, actually, it was amazing. It kind of cleared all the trauma out of my head.
The powers.
The
power of, right. Is that why you started making music? Do you cast your mind back to whenever you started doing this? When did you start doing it?
I started writing songs when I think I was, when I was a teenager. I think that is why I started making, like, writing songs. Because I've made music since I was, like, sentient. Since I was, like, 4.
You've made music since you were 4. Wow.
Well, like, I started playing the violin when I was 5.
Right, yeah.
So I've made music and, like, done music. But yeah, I think I've started, like, actually writing songs since I was a teenager. I actually found my teenage diary the other day from 2009. It was hilarious.
Okay.
It was hilarious. And I'd had, like, my first ever song that I wrote in there, and it was about, like, letting yourself eat the cheese.
So, would you say that your style has changed?
No. Oh my God, that's so true.
No, but just like the kind of talking about something, I feel like this is what I've observed of you, maybe, is like talking about something big but doing it in a lighthearted way sometimes, or like with a little funny observation that you like then describe like a bigger thing with that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you probably don't even do it on purpose. You probably kind of just, that's how your brain works and that's how you talk about stuff.
True.
But that sounds like potentially similar. Do you remember how it goes?
God, remember that song I made?
Can you sing it? Can you hum it?
It was like, eat what you want and eat what you please. Take the temptation to the cheese and everyone surrender to your diet.
That's great.
So I was eating a lot of cheddar.
How did you, when you were writing music, when you started, when you were a teenager, like what instruments, how were you doing it then? Was it, because obviously your setup now is, you have quite a lot of musical things that you do and lots of elements, like, that confuse me, but it's
like
very
Dick
cool.
Van Dyke from Mary Poppins.
But like, how did you
bamboo.
do it?
Well, when I first started, it was just piano and singing.
Okay.
And I was like acoustic piano singing for a while.
Really?
Yeah, and I had like my original name. It's like an X Factor business sound like situation. But then I learned to produce music, and then I switched to the Launchpad and synthesizer. And then like I've only added in the trumpet the last few years, and I've only added in the violin like this year.
Really?
Yeah.
When you switched to producing and stuff,
Yeah.
was that influenced by someone that you were listening to at the time, or?
Yeah.
Like, how come?
I think what happened was, I, like, an electronic producer that I knew at the time asked me to do backing vocals for him, and then we were like sort of like jamming and pissing about, and he put my song, like he put my voice onto an electronic track, like we did like a mini song together, and I was like, oh, like I really like the sound of that, like my singing with like actual electronic music. So at the time, this was like 2015, so at the time like a lot of the popular music was acoustic, so I was like, ooh.
Was it in 2015?
Yeah. Well, like a lot of
what?
people like us who made music was all acoustic, so I'd like, that was new to me, and I was like, ooh, that's exciting. And then then I got Logic, and then I just thought I'd have like a go at it. Yeah, and then I was like, this is really fun. And then when I first learnt to produce music, I remember I made like 9 songs in a month because I got so obsessed with it. And then what was going on was I was doing a degree at uni, but
A music degree?
yeah, but it was really academic at the time. I was in my second year, I think, when I learnt to produce music, and I had to do loads of essays at the time, and I hated writing essays. Like, I'd get really stressed about it. So what I did is I'd go to the library to make an essay, make an essay, and then I would just get stressed and I would just make a song instead on my laptop, and then that's how, you know, you're not supposed to be doing something, it makes you want to do it more. It's like the red button theory.
So maybe we should stop trying to be professional musicians.
Yeah, maybe we should start trying to be academics,
and then
instead.
We'll be better at it.
Yeah, we should be like builders.
Oh, I had a question that I really wanted to ask you just then, and now it's slipped out of my mind. Oh yeah, the comedy thing. When did that? Because okay, so if you haven't seen Sansha live, she's kind of. Oh yeah, so this other quote that I have from you, Victoria Wood meets Lily Allen, which is so true. That very much comes in like when you're playing live, because you tell little stories in between your songs and stuff. So when did that happen? Like, when did you start doing that? Was that just a natural progression?
Yeah, that was like kind of by mistake, because I felt like a lot of my songs would sound like strange or like really vague if I didn't explain them. So I started explaining them to an audience, but then like people started laughing, and I thought, oh, okay, is it funny then? And then I started like actually kind of like planning it a bit more and formulating it a bit more. And I can remember I did this gig where it was getting a bit more deliberate at the time. And I remember the venue owner was like, I didn't know you were going to do that. It was like, he was like half impressed, half annoyed. He was like, what are you? And I was like, I don't know. And then it just, now it is kind of like deliberate. Like I do actually kind of plan what I'm going to say and like write it down and like semi-practice it. And obviously I've done like a couple of those shows at the Edinburgh Fringe. But it did start as a mistake. I was just trying to explain the context of my songs.
Yeah. So how does it go down at the Fringe? Like, I feel like...
Have you been?
I've been to the Fringe, but I've only seen standard comedy
stand-up.
or like stand-up, or I don't know what I've seen at the Fringe, but I haven't seen this. So like, how did it go down? And like, how many times... Sorry, I did not mean... How many times have you been at the Fringe now? A few?
Yeah, I've been there loads of times actually.
No, but like, as in, been there as a performer.
How many times have I performed?
How many times have you been to this? How many days have you spent in Scotland?
How many holidays have you had? Well, how many times have I performed?
Yeah.
I've done 2 shows.
Okay.
So each one I performed like...
Yeah, loads of times.
Like
you have to do it like every day.
25 times. So I've performed like 50 times and done a few like multi-shows, whatever they're called. When you go on a... loads of people performing and you do a little slot. I've done a couple of those, but I've done like 2 shows.
Your show? Yeah. For an hour?
Yeah, each one's an hour.
That's a big deal because I know a little bit, like just because I've known like comedians and stuff, and it is like really hard work. It's like expensive, right, to kind of make it work. You have to go flyering every day. Like, how was that? Was it not really hard?
It was so hard.
Yeah.
There were some days where I was like, I can't do this. And then we do it. But like, that is a good thing if you get through that hump of like, I don't want to, or like, I can't be bothered, and then you make yourself do it anyway. It's like, it's quite a good thing to go through, because then you're like, okay, like I can make myself do things I can't be asked to do.
It kind of makes posting on social media feel maybe a bit less hard. Like if you have to go out and physically be like, guys, come to my show, because that's, if you don't know flyering, that is, well, obviously most people know what flyering is, but in Edinburgh it's like, that's what everyone has to do. Yeah. But then posting a little video on social media, I feel like that's not
true actually
as hard.
It probably does make you feel like other things aren't as like labour intensive. It's very labour intensive. You've got to have like all this energy, and you're constantly feeling like you're on the verge of just getting so ill. It's exhausting.
Like being at a festival, but like for weeks and weeks.
The difficult thing as well is that like quite often you're really exhausted and you're like emotionally exhausted, and you just have to be like on, because like you can't be on the street and sell your show, because you're like selling your personality. Especially if your show is about you, you're selling your persona like in a second on the street. So you can't be on the street and be like, hey. Well, it depends actually. I think everyone has different tactics and everyone has different like characters, but mine is but that's what I found difficult but I had to do it, just getting to that like stage of like being on like, the
all the time.
Are
you someone that's like, because I don't know, I've talked about this a lot with a lot of people recently, like introvert, extrovert, blah blah blah, like would you say you're an extrovert? I mean, I know everyone's a bit of a mix, but some, like, I am definitely, like, I'd say, like a sociable introvert. Like, I definitely can't be on all the time. Like, I find it quite... Do you find that hard, or is that easy for you?
I think I am an extrovert, but then I get, like, my batteries drain. I've had, like, 2, like, sensory things as well. I don't know about you, but, like, really drain me. Like, so, have you ever been to Winter Wonderland in London?
I feel like I've never been. I just avoid going to stuff like,
Yeah, it's so... I went there once, not really by choice. It's just like other people were there who I knew. And there's loads of like lights and sounds and like smells. And like, I remember I came out of that and I was like, I need to sleep for 100 years. So I think I find like loads of lights and sounds and noises and smells are really draining. That went really off topic. But I do get drained. I get drained.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
No, it's like complete. I have the same thing.
Yeah. And I'll be like these extreme, like full energy, and then I'll just crash, and then I'll have like nothing in me. I'll be like a donut. So it's quite extreme. So I guess like for the Fringe, in a way that kind of suits me, because you fly for like an hour before your show, and you'll be like, blah, and I like do the show, and then I just go home and be like,
yeah.
into a box.
So would you say you if you've done these different types of sharing your music situations, like a normal standard gig or like doing something like that, a show in Edinburgh, do you have like a preference, or do you like mixing it up and doing both?
Yeah, I like both. I think what's quite nice about normal gigs is that people don't expect you to do storytelling. So I love surprising people. So that's really nice.
Yeah.
But then it's also nice doing like the full length Fringe shows because you've got a whole hour, so you can like be really indulgent with it and tell loads of stories.
Na, 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 na. I had clear skin in December. Now I'm hormonal and I look like a small pizza. Oh, I'm overthinking everything. Can't get no sleep. Massive flora, don't do anything. Can't get no sleep. Can't get no sleep. What's the point of listening if you won't take it in? What's the point of being if being is a sin? It's a cold, hard world, gotta do this together. If you can't be nice, let's just talk about the weather. Il fait chaud, il fait froid. Do you like my new bra? I call it all face or soul, it's sold out. Say dommage. You really, really don't like it when I stick around, but that is really fine with me, 'cause 3 years of crowds. I just can't get this weight off my shoulders. Can't really talk about it, but you came and left me bereft, and now I still hear your voice in my head. I just can't get this weight off my shoulders. Can't really talk about it, but you came and left me bereft, and now I still hear your voice in my head. I just feel so jaded ever since you manipulated. Feel like a 2D person in a 3D game. There's too many dimensions, just can't handle the tension. Now I know you're the root of my problems, it's just not the same. There's no wonder that I feel depressed. Just talking to you's like a game of chess. Say dommage, I feel like this. I have sacroblaitis. Wish you were a rapper so that I could call you T-Pain. I just can't get this weight off my shoulders. Can't really talk about it, but you came and left me bereft, and now I still hear your voice in my head. I just can't get this weight off my shoulders. Can't really talk about it, but you came and left me bereft, and now I still hear your voice in my head. Wouldn't it be nice if you had no name? You would be blameless and me more pain. Wouldn't it be nice if I had no brain? You would be shameless and me more pain. Wouldn't it be nice if I had more claim? I would be chainless, go up in flames. You would be blameless. You would be blameless. Me bereft, and now I still hear your voice in my head. I just can't get this weight off my shoulders. Can't really talk about it, but you came and left me bereft, and now I still hear your voice in my head. Soon you'll know and soon you'll see. I am Sansha and Sansha is me. She is power, but similarly I'm becoming who I'm meant to be. This was never about the defendant, your redemption, my vengeance, my resurrection once again. Hear my voice, hold the pen.
The Alpha Sessions.
So Sand,
Yes.
where I have a little cameo, not really, but I just had to hand Cheska, Sansha, I can't say your name. The violin, which was funny. Yeah, tell us about this.
You had a big role.
Yeah.
It's actually you performing.
Really
I was
important.
on the side. Wait, what was the question?
I just said, like, tell us about that song.
Okay.
Or are you releasing that one this year as well? Or
Yeah.
is it already? Okay.
Yeah, I'm planning to release that one this year too. That one's about when you feel like someone like almost like puts you on a pedestal, but then can't like appreciate you as a whole, so sort of like views you in these like bite-sized forms, but like you know what you are as a whole thing.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And that's a bit
as well.
annoying.
Yeah.
Like,
So you feel like they're like
they want like the
consuming
perfect
you.
you, and then yeah.
They're consuming you as like little bits of sand
Mm.
when you know you're aware of being a whole cliff.
Ooh.
Wow.
Wow.
That was a wow moment for me, wasn't it?
Cool.
That's what it's about. Cool.
One question I have for you.
Mm.
I don't know if you've been asked this. Maybe this is something people ask you all the time. Like because you've done a few little tours or like gigging in other countries a bit, right?
Yeah.
Like and So Far Sounds and things like that.
Yeah.
Do you find that the like chatty humour bit of your stuff like is very translatable in other countries, or do people like what's the reaction like? Is it different to when you're in England?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I remember when I performed in Sweden that people were lolling. Everyone's English was like perfect.
They're so good in Scandinavia.
Yeah,
though.
Scandinavia's English is amazing.
Have you ever played anywhere where people don't have great English? Like I don't want to say country.
No, I haven't.
Really rude.
I haven't, but I do remember that I've had loads of gigs where people just don't like my humour.
Right.
Loads.
Like, give an example. Like,
There was one
anything for
in
Fernando?
there's a gig I played in Newcastle and everyone hated me.
Like, why? How?
I don't
What
know.
happened?
As soon as I started speaking, they were like, "Oh."
Do you think it's because of
no.
the South English accent? Like, I would have the same problem. They'd be like, ugh.
Yeah, I think it might have been that. I was like, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah. I don't want to swear because I can't. That would be bad. But never mind about them.
Thank you. I feel very validated.
So yeah, okay. So I guess if you've travelled mostly in places where they speak better English than we do, then that's not really a problem. But yeah, I was wondering that because I know you have travelled, toured. Have you toured?
No. Have you?
No.
We should.
Yeah. So last thing I was going to ask you. So what happened with your Instagram? Did it get hacked?
So, yeah, it got well, I don't know if I got hacked or if I got taken down for something I did, but I'll never know.
You don't know. They don't
know.
say. You just.
Well, the really weird thing was, right, just one day I was on it and this like sticker came up in front of the screen being like, you can't access your Instagram because you did something against community guidelines.
Oh.
And then but at the same time I got an email saying that someone was trying to get into it from Newcastle. Maybe it was one of those
guys from the gig.
I ate her.
Oh my god.
Yeah, maybe. But it said that someone was trying to get into my account. I was like, that looks a bit hacky. And then my Facebook went, and then which was attached to it. And then the thing is about when this happens is that there's like all the things that it tells you to do. So it'll be like, go into your account and do this. And I'm like, well, I can't because I'm locked out of it. Like all the things that they tell you to do, it's like a joke. And then I did all the things, I tried everything. And then one of my friends is like really techie and has a lot of access to like people from Facebook and Instagram. And he phoned up this woman who was actually called Honey. He was like, listen, Honey, she needs her Instagram back, blah, blah, blah. And then I think one of them actually looked at my particular account and was like, no, it's gone. And the thing is, I'd uploaded a video which mentions like as a joke, like the consumption of a Class A drug. Okay. And that video had got like 21,000 views and was like going around the internet. So it might have been that because I mentioned that it got disabled, but I didn't get any warning.
That's what I was going to say.
And people talk about this stuff all the time, but I think I got hacked because why would someone be in my account from Newcastle randomly at the same time that I'm not allowed on my account? So I'm never going to know.
You don't know.
It's so annoying.
That's so annoying. So you've had to start again.
Yeah.
But you've done it with like, I don't know what
gusto,
the word is. Yeah. So you've done well.
I've tried.
Because that is just so unfair, but
it's so frustrating. Because there's so many people that follow me from gigs who I probably won't find me again. It's so frustrating.
You'll get there, but it's just a setback.
Yeah, it's
annoyingly.
It's a massive setback.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
We didn't even get to talk about what I wanted to ask you about, which was like, because we're kind of running out of time, but I just wanted to ask you about, because we kind of touched on this before we started recording, like releasing music and how draining and difficult it all is. But I mean,
look at us.
Like we both
full of beans.
We both have to do this, but I guess we can't not, because we kind of need to share our music
because we love it.
Why do you find it, like, what is it, do you think, that is the main reason why it's difficult? Is it the most difficult thing for you, like, out of all the different things you do like recording and producing all your own stuff, you perform, blah blah blah, Edinburgh, like, is this, like, releasing music, do you think that's the most tricky? Songwriting, like...
Yeah, I guess, like the stats can be quite disheartening sometimes, and they're very unpredictable.
Yep.
Like, the way that the internet works is unpredictable, isn't it? And it doesn't always make sense. Because you're like, I'll do this and this and this, and then this will happen. And then, like, the trajectory that you're expecting doesn't always happen. Yeah. Things don't always unfold in the way that you want them to.
Do you have have you done quite a lot of, like, proper kind of studying the algorithms and doing all that kind of stuff properly? Because, I mean, I know nothing about all that stuff. I probably should. Have you done a bit of that, like, trying to work out, like, the best way to do things?
Yeah, I've, like, a little bit. And I've got, like, someone I know that is quite helpful, who knows quite a lot about these things. But, yeah, it is just unpredictable. And, like, when you're not posting or doing anything, or like when you're planning it, it like feels like it's this really like black and white thing. But then you get to it, and then it's like, once you're in the midst of actually trying, it feels a lot more complicated than you thought it was. And it's just really, it's very ambiguous. And it's also, I think, like, making music and releasing music and trying to be like successful, whatever that means. I think it's quite like, it's like gambling.
Yeah.
Almost similar to dating. Like, it's like...
Yeah, I've said that before.
Yeah, it's like dating.
It is dating.
There's an ambiguity to it. And that's also, I think, what makes it so exciting, because you don't know when you're going to get a really good result. And that's kind of why maybe we keep doing it, because it's kind of risky.
Maybe
risky
we're
for
all,
our health.
like, gambling freaks. So basically, your Instagram is Sansha World. Mm-hmm. I know this.
Yes.
Is that kind of what it is everywhere, or, like, what you called? What's your social media? Plug it. Go.
Okay, so I'm Sansha on Spotify. I'm Sansha World on Instagram. On Twitter, if you want to follow me on that, I'm actually Francesca Lewis 5. But I don't really go much on Twitter.
No, me neither.
So you just want to check out the Sansha World, basically. Oh, and on TikTok, I'm Sansha World.
Thanks.
Thank
Sansha,
you
for coming and playing your songs and chatting, and thank you for listening, everybody. See you again soon.
You praise me, but can't hold me in your hand, letting me fall through your fingers I stand. Well, my idea's too tall, my story's too grand, letting me fall through your fingers I stand, letting me fall through your fingers like sand. Questioning everyone about me, collecting information, furthering your own defamation. No one understands your trajectory, but it ain't affecting me. You see me as an effigy, my sister says everyone's a symbol. You flash in the road like roadkill, no time to think. There's always one of us that have power. Thoughts in the shower, then trying to wash them down in the sink. You praise me, but can't hold me in your hand, letting me fall through your fingers like sand. Well, my idea's too tall, my story's too grand, letting me fall through your fingers like sand. You praise me, but can't hold me in your hand, letting me fall through your fingers like sand. Well, my idea's too tall, my story's too grand, letting me fall through your fingers like sand, letting me fall through your fingers like sand. You wish that you had me suspended, Goliath and David aren't remembered for being a team. If you could have me half-assed, halfway, half done, you would have won, but I'm all or nothing me. You couldn't grasp the length of my thoughts, so you struggle with my core as you tremble under light. Then you try me with your spite, and you watch me walk away, and you wither until day, and I grow with the sapling that you gave away. You praise me, but can't harm me in your hand, letting
letting me fall through your fingers like sand. Were my ideas too tall, my stories too grand, letting me fall through your fingers like sand. You praise me but can't hold me in your hand, letting me fall through your fingers like sand. Were my ideas too tall, my stories too grand, letting me fall through your